So in my last video, I was very critical of people that buy IPOs on the day that they're offered because I don't believe that's the smart way to go about it. And in the latter part of the video, I gave an example of a super simple yet smart way to play IPOs more safely. And I had some comments asking about some other examples of IPOs, and I wanted to dig into those. And when you see it, you're going to laugh at how simple it really is to play this more smartly. So, what we want to avoid, first of all, is a situation like Lyft. And Lyft was an IPO, and investors that got in, well, they're not doing too well. They're not doing too well at all. And there's a simple way to avoid a situation like this. If you just look at the pivot high, basically the highest high of either the first day or first week, if you're being patient, this will give you a line in the sand and you just wait patiently for it to break that line. I know it sounds like it can't be that simple, but it really is. And let's look at some examples. So the examples they asked for were Palantir. So this fit that criteria very well. So this opened at about 10, and after a few months, about 2 months, finally it broke above it, and away it went. You could have avoided all of that chop and all of that headache wondering what your investment was going to do by just being patient. And you don't have to watch this every day. You can just set an alert, draw the line at the pivot high, and you can right click, add alert, and there you go. If you don't have alerts in TradingView, I highly recommend getting them. Another one was snow. This also fit the criteria where it popped above it finally after a few months and you would be up on your investment. What are some others? So let's take a look at Jumia. Jumia is one that has been very hyped. And this, well, let's talk about the nuance of this. So, as I said, the first day or the first week is what we need to look at. So, this one, you perhaps had this opening bar and it went up, 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 up. But we should have waited for it to pivot out, basically establish some sort of a high there. And if you would have waited for that, well, you still wouldn't be in this and you wouldn't have taken this huge drawdown in your capital. That's a big drawdown. That's unacceptable. What about Zoom? Zoom, if we look at it here, wait for it to pivot out. And within the first couple of days of this IPOing, you could have actually made a pretty good return. And then if you were bag holding through all of this, well, you didn't get in at all that different of a price from the IPO. And you got that first bit that you could have maybe taken some profit in as well. But you didn't miss the move. I think a lot of people feel like they have to get it on the day because that's the only day they're going to be offered. Well, these shares are going to be traded forever and ever. You can get this stock at any time. You're not going to miss the move. I looked at a few other ones. What about TPTX? This was one from last year. So this was basically the high of the first day and the first week. I really like this situation right here where you break above it and then you could just buy one breakout, but there's a nice pullback to that level there. That's the same thing that I noted on Facebook. Facebook did that as well. That's for super patient traders, and I've got a feeling that a lot of a lot of IPO traders are not going to be patient. So if you want to take the breakout, go ahead. But man, I sure would love to see that kind of situation happening where you have a resistance turns into support. It's fantastic. Let's look at one more. Beyond Meat. What is that? Beyond. I gotta look that up. There we go. BYND. Let's see what it did. Did it do what we wanted it to do? Well, if we waited for maybe perhaps the high of the week, let it pivot out. that or that, boom, we could have still caught most of this move up. What are you giving up by not buying on the first day? A few percentages for what it did? Be patient. What's it doing now? Well, banding around, but still, you'd be up. You wouldn't have missed Beyond Meat. So be patient on these IPOs and wait for price to establish itself. You'll have a much better chance of success, and you won't potentially take as much drawdown. So look forward to your comments if you have any additional questions. Trade wisely.